Welcome, learners, to another deep dive. Today we're diving into one of the most profound and honestly challenging texts from antiquity. It's a narrative that grapples with immense suffering, perplexing silence, and, well, an absolutely unwavering faith. We're zeroing in on excerpts from the ancient book of Job, specifically focusing on chapter 13. And this isn't just some historical account, right? It's a raw, honest window into the human spirit under extreme duress. It's about how one individual chose to engage with the divine when everything felt like it was shattered.
That's absolutely right. Our mission today really is to uncover the core message embedded in Job 13. We'll explore why Job's words, spoken millennia ago, still resonate so deeply in our modern lives, especially when we talk about fostering genuine obedience and strengthening our faith in God, even when, life feels completely upside down.
So if you've ever found yourself wrestling with those really tough, unanswered questions, or maybe if you've been in a season where faith felt less like a comfort and more like, well, a challenge, this deep dive is absolutely for you. Let's unpack this powerful narrative. Okay, so let's set the scene a little for Job 13. By this point, Job has lost virtually everything imaginable. His children, his wealth, his health. I mean, he's afflicted with painful sores, sitting in ashes.
Just unimaginable suffering.
Exactly. And as if that weren't enough, his closest friends have arrived, ostensibly to offer comfort, but their words. They've been anything but comforting. They've been relentlessly accusing him, basically implying his suffering must be the result of some secret sin.
Indeed.
Ah.
And to truly appreciate Job's radical stance here, we need to understand the prevailing worldview of his time. His friends were operating under what we now call retribution theology.
Right, the idea that good things happen to good people, bad things to bad people, simple cause and effect.
Exactly. It was a widely held belief. Good people prosper, bad people suffer. So therefore, Job's immense suffering to them was just irrefutable proof of his secret wickedness. They simply couldn't fathom an innocent man suffering like this. But Job, he profoundly challenges this simplistic equation.
Okay, so, chapter 13. Job continues his blistering reply to these friends, and he really does not hold back, does he? He confronts their accusations head-on, effectively telling them their comfort is, well, worse than useless.
He's incredibly direct, yeah. He calls them forgers of lies and physicians of no value, that's in verse 4, which is essentially him saying, look, you're offering me bad medicine and completely false diagnoses.
Strong words.
Very strong. He actually demands their silence. He suggests that their quiet would be far wiser, more beneficial than their misguided counsel. He even challenges them, asking if it's right that God should search them out for their deceptive words. Job is fiercely asserting his integrity against their faulty theology.
So he's basically saying, you're doing more harm than good. Please, just be quiet. He tells them, hold your peace. Let me alone that I may speak, and come on me what will. You can almost feel the desperation in his plea, can't you? Just to be heard, to speak his truth.
You really can.
But then the conversation takes a really interesting turn because Job shifts his focus. He moves from his unhelpful friends directly to God himself.
He does. And this is crucial. Despite his profound anguish, Job doesn't give up on God. No. In fact, his desire for clarity is so strong that he yearns to reason directly with the Almighty.
He wants to make his case.
Yes. He pleads for the opportunity to present his case to the Lord, to understand why this unimaginable suffering has befallen him. You sense this powerful mix, reverence, deep frustration, but also persistent hope in his words. He insists he's not hiding sin. He genuinely longs for honest answers, not these empty accusations from his friends. He even questions God directly. How many are mine iniquities and sins? Make me to know my transgression and my sin. He's desperate for clarity. He asks why God seems to hide his face and treat him like an enemy.
And this intensity, this direct address to God, it leads us to one of the most powerful and honestly kind of bewildering declarations of faith in all of Scripture, especially when you consider his circumstances. What always stands out to me is Job's statement in verse 15, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. But then he immediately follows it with, but I will maintain mine own ways before him.
Oh.
Wow, that's a profound, almost paradoxical statement.
It absolutely is. That line, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, is arguably the pinnacle of unwavering faith in the entire book. It's a profound expression of trust in God's character, even in the complete absence of clarity or comfort or apparent justice.
Trust despite the evidence, almost.
You could say that, yeah. It's a commitment to trust God, not because of his circumstances, but resolutely in spite of them. And notice what he says right after. He also shall be my salvation, for a hypocrite shall not come before him. This reveals his deep conviction in God's ultimate justice and, remarkably, his own integrity before God, even as he's pleading for answers. He's trusting that God is good fundamentally, even if he can't understand why God is allowing this suffering.
So, okay, this isn't just some ancient story of perseverance then. What does all this mean for us today? How do we take Job's incredibly raw, intense experience and apply it to our modern lives? Especially when we talk about encouraging genuine obedience and strengthening our faith. Because, on the surface, it almost seems like Job is challenging God, which some might mistakenly see as like disobedience. But I think there's a much deeper, more liberating lesson here, isn't there?
You're right, there's a vital distinction to make. Job 13 isn't about defiance, it's about authentic engagement. It's about relationship. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Job 13 offers several really critical pieces of wisdom that directly apply to us, guiding us toward genuine obedience and a more resilient faith.
Okay, let's break those down. Let's start with Job's incredible honesty. I mean, he doesn't hold back at all. He lays out his pain, his confusion, his anger directly to God. What's the practical takeaway there for us?
Well, I think what Job models for us is a raw, unvarnished faith. He doesn't pretend everything is fine, right? Nor does he offer those sort of saccharine platitudes we sometimes hear. He brings his questions, his confusion, his deep pain directly to God, and he does so with profound respect, but absolutely no fear of being real. He literally asks God, "Why do you hide your face and hold me as your enemy?"
That takes guts.
It does.
Okay.
And for us, this means that honesty with God is not irreverence. It's okay. You can bring your hardest, most uncomfortable questions to God. Faith and questioning are not enemies. In fact, Job shows us they can be deeply intertwined. When life doesn't make sense, God actually invites us to seek him honestly rather than suppress our confusion or, pretend to have it all together. This authenticity, it deepens our relationship and trust. And that, in turn, fosters a more genuine, heartfelt obedience because it's built on truth, not pretense.
That's incredibly liberating, isn't it? Because I think so many of us feel this pressure to always be fine or to have all the spiritual answers. But it sounds like it's not about having all the answers, but about being real with the one who does. Bringing your true self, confusion, anger, pain, directly to God. That takes courage.
It truly does. And courage leads us, I think, to our second insight. Remember how Job tells his friends that speaking wrongly about God does more harm than good?
Yeah, the forgers of lies comment.
Exactly. He demands their silence, believing it would be wiser. Sometimes the most profound act of support, maybe the most humble form of obedience, is simply presence and quiet, not advice. And this raises an important question for us today. How careful are we about speaking for God? Job's friends genuinely thought they were helping, but their judgmental assumptions and their faulty theology caused more pain and alienated Job further. In our modern world, where everyone seems to have an opinion on everything.
Especially online.
Especially online, yes. Claiming to know God's mind and someone else's suffering can be deeply damaging. Often, the wisest, most empathetic thing to do is nothing at all, except to simply sit with someone in their suffering. Offer empathy, a listening ear, prayer maybe, rather than theology lectures or quick fixes. That itself is an act of humble obedience that honors both God and the suffering individual.
That's a huge point, especially in our hyper-connected world where everyone feels compelled to share their opinion, even on really sensitive matters like faith and suffering. Knowing when to be quiet, when to offer empathy instead of answers. That's a profound act of wisdom and kindness. It's a discipline, really.
It absolutely is. And that leads to a third critical lesson, I think. Job critiques his friends for trying to defend God with, flattery or pretense. He reminds us that God values honesty and integrity more than empty words or false righteousness. Job asserts, "I will maintain my own ways before him," showing his unwavering commitment to his own integrity, even as he appeals to God for clarity.
So be real.
Be real. This applies directly to our own lives. Our integrity matters more than appearances. In a world that often prizes spin, image, and, superficial perfection, Job reminds us to be authentic, even when it's messy. Living with integrity, being honest about our struggles and doubts, even when it's hard or feels inconvenient, is a fundamental way to obey and demonstrate faith. Why? Because it reflects God's own character, which is truth itself. It builds genuine trust, both with God and with others.
So it's about being authentic, not just appearing righteous or having all the answers, which, again, can be incredibly challenging, especially when you're under pressure or in pain and feel like you need to project strength. It's about letting go of the need to perform.
It is, and it's incredibly liberating because it shifts the burden from us to God.
Yeah.
Which brings us back, finally, to Job's declaration. "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." This shows an incredible, unwavering faith. Job didn't get immediate answers, did he? He didn't get a clear resolution in chapter 13, but he still held on to his trust.
He endured.
He endured. So in seasons when heaven seems quiet, when our prayers feel unanswered, we can learn from his endurance. Faith can not only survive, but actually be strengthened by unanswered questions. Trusting God, even in the silence, even in the mystery, strengthens our faith precisely because it's not dependent on immediate gratification or perfect understanding. This deep trust fuels perseverance and obedience through difficult times. It proves that our faith is resilient and rooted in who God is, not just what he does for us or what we understand about his ways. It transforms obedience from just a duty into a profound act of devotion.
Wow. What really stands out to me from all this is that Job's experience isn't just about surviving suffering. It's about how we survive, with integrity, with an unwavering grip on faith, even when God feels distant or simple. His ways are, well, inscrutable. He dared to question, he dared to be painfully honest, but he never let go of his fundamental trust in God's character. It encourages us, I think, to lean into the discomfort of not knowing, while still trusting that God is ultimately good and just. This deep, profound faith, refined in the furnace of suffering, truly is the bedrock of a robust and genuine obedience. It means we obey not out of some kind of blind adherence, but out of a tested, refined conviction in the character of God himself. So we've taken a deep dive into Job 13 today, uncovering how Job's courageous confrontation and his profound declaration of trust offer timeless, challenging lessons for our own journey of faith and obedience.
It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it, that our faith is not fragile. It can withstand our toughest questions, our deepest pain, and even those moments of apparent silence from God. In fact, it can actually be strengthened through those very challenges when we choose to lean in honestly, maintain our integrity before him, and ultimately trust in his character even when his plan is hidden from us.
Absolutely. So, as you reflect on Job's incredible raw example, here's a thought for you to carry forward. How might your faith be deepened if you dared to be as raw and honest with God about your pain and questions as Job was?
Power up fall projects with Ego at Lowe's. Every tool delivers power beyond belief. So whether it's leaves, limbs, or lawn cleanup, count on Ego to deliver the power, performance, and innovation you need. And now for a limited time, save up to $60 on select blowers, chainsaws, and pole saws. Shop Ego today at Lowe's. Offers valid through 10/1 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.